Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing very well. So yesterday I didn't think there was going to be a Battlegrounds update, but actually hidden in the patch notes there was a huge Battlegrounds update which is live now. So I'm going to cover it in a video right now. I love Battlegrounds, so I'm really excited to see any new changes, and that's what I really am enjoying about the mode, is that they're changing it so frequently. So it really changes the game, adds new minions in, new heroes. We are getting a brand new hero. Dragons are also getting a buff, so some of the minions are changing, and then there's going to be a few other heroes that are getting buffs as well. So we'll take a look at that. But I want to show you this tweet first, which is a tweet from Hearthstone themselves about the distribution of players in Battlegrounds. So I'd be interested to know in the comments what distribution you guys are at. I'm actually currently at 8.6k, which I'm pretty pleased about, but I'm worried about playing again because I just need 100 more points to get to the top 0.01%. And I'm worried if I play again, I'll lose 1,000 MMR and go back down again. But that's what Battlegrounds is all about. So anyway, let's get in and take a look at the changes, because I actually think they're all really good. I have had a chance to play on this patch. I haven't played with all the new heroes yet, because you don't always get them offered to you. But there's a lot of cool changes. Firstly, 3 heroes are leaving the pool. Ragnaros, Sylvanas and Patches have all left. Ragnaros and Sylvanas, absolutely fine in my opinion. Neither of them are very strong. Ragnaros can be at times. Sylvanas I could never really make work in my opinion. Patches though I thought was good actually. The 1 mana hero power to do 4 damage twice in the late game can pop you some divine shields potentially. Maybe it kills a soul juggler. But in the early game is where that's important, because if you've had a bad start, you can just win fights just by hero powering, and it gives you a chance to establish a good board. So I quite like Patches. I didn't think he needed to leave, but they've removed him. And we are getting a brand new hero. This is the only new hero we're getting. This is Fungalmancer Flurgle. He is a Murloc, obviously, a big, massive Murloc. His hero power is passive. It's Gone Fishing. After you sell a Murloc, add a random Murloc to Bob's Tavern of the same tier or lower. So this is actually a really important aspect of the Murloc game plan, is that you need to have other Murlocs. I mean, it makes sense, they all buff each other. But the key thing is tripling those Murlocs, because they can be strong in the first few turns, but the problem with where Murlocs always fall down is bridging the gap between that early game and getting Bran, King Burgurgle and Megasaur in the late game. And the way that you get those Burgurgles and Megasaurs, for example, is by tripling your own minions and discovering them. And that is where this hero power is good, because you can sell the token Murlocs, for example. That still counts as a Murloc. You sell that and can get another one. It also really important that you get Cold Light Seers as well to bridge the gap. So this is another way that hopefully you could try and generate more Cold Light Seers, and also just get general triples, which really help with the Murloc game plan. The problem I have with this hero is often you don't want to sell your Murlocs. The tokens, sure, you can sell, but once you've started buffing the Murlocs, then you want to keep them on the board to buff them more and more. So maybe at certain points this hero power is going to be quite difficult to use. But with things like the Primal Fin Lookout, you usually play that, discover a Murloc. If you could then sell it and have another Murloc put in the tavern as well, then it's just an added bonus, which is really good. The problem I see with this hero, I've only played against him twice. In the first tavern, he was like Divine Shield Poisonous, the earliest I've ever seen Murlocs at a bat, and that was incredible. And the second dude came 8th because he didn't manage to hit it. And that's where I see this hero is any hero that funnels you down a specific path, I don't think is worth picking, because sometimes you'll win, it'll be the best thing ever, but I think the majority of the time you might just lose out, and then you've got a useless hero power. It doesn't help you so much in the early game if all Bob's offering you is dragons. This isn't going to be of any use to you, and you've lost that advantage in the early game. So whilst I think he's going to be cool to try out, yes, you will get those OP Murloc games. I'm not so sure he's going to be consistently fantastic. So another hero is returning to the pool. This is Sir Finley Murgleton. So we've had him before. His hero power was terrible, but now his hero power has changed, and it's actually really interesting, and it fits more with Finley. Passive hero power at the start of the game, discover a hero power. So if you pick Finley, when the game starts, you get to pick from 3 hero powers from any other characters in the game. So that's really cool. But where I see Finley really is not a good hero choice, but if the other choices you're given are bad, this is another chance to potentially get a good hero. So I did actually play with Finley because I had 2 bad offerings. I picked Finley, And then from Finley, I managed to discover Malagos' hero power, which is a pretty decent one in my opinion. So that's where I see Finley fitting in. It can be a bit annoying if you're playing in a lobby and there's a Refarm and a Finley who is also Refarm. So suddenly you can be playing against two of the same hero. But ultimately, I think this is a pretty cool card, and it just gives you that extra reroll. Sorry, good hero. Next one coming back is Professor Futureside. So he has been in it a couple of times, gone out and come back. But he's been added back with his same hero power, Rage Potion. Give a friendly minion plus 10 attack for the next combat only. But now it's changed, so instead of the leftmost minion, you can target the minion with this. And I think that's really important, because before you would put your cleave right on the far left and then give it plus 10 attack, which sometimes is what you want to do. But other times you want to reposition your cleave a little bit to perhaps play a smaller minion, get rid of the Divine Shield, and then play your big cleave. So I see this as a buff to that hero power. It also allows you now to have a really good option with Battlemaster. So Battlemaster is a really powerful minion. Sometimes if I'm doing terribly and I've made it to tier 5, sometimes I'll just buy a Battlemaster just to stay in the game. So if you're already down at 10 health, you can get a big minion. With this, you could get the big minion, and you also give it plus 10 attack. So you do have to do that every turn, but it could be a good way to kind of shore yourself up until you get another direction. So I think this is definitely a buff. I think it's an interesting hero power now, but still not an OP hero in my opinion. Same goes for the Lich King. His hero power is changing for the better. It's pretty much the same, but before you used to only give the rightmost minion on your board Reborn. Now you're going to be able to target which minion you want to give it to on any position on your board, which is actually a really huge advantage, because if, for example, you had a gas coiler or you had an egg and you give them Reborn, that's a really strong, powerful play with the Lich King. But if your board is full, so for example the attack order doesn't go how you want and your gas coiler or egg dies, it won't come back if your board's full. So it will summon its death rattle, but it won't come back. So being able to change the position of that can really help you position your taunts better. Kaboom Bot's another good example. When you're playing Kaboom Bot, you want that to be on the left hand side because you want it to die early so that it can kill all your opponent's minions with the bombs. Now if you can put it on the left hand side and have Reborn, it will come back and then attack again, whereas if it's on the right, it comes back and sometimes just sits there and doesn't attack again straight away. So I think this is a good change for the Lich King. I still don't think he's OP. Whenever you're playing Lich King, you really need to get some key minions to make it really strong, and it doesn't really help too much until much later on in the game, which is why you can sometimes struggle with him, but still a pretty good change for the Lich King. Next we have Sara's change. This is a good one actually. So Sara, before there was a certain strategy you could pick to make her just stay on early tiers, just a triple dragons. But now her hero power has changed. It is a passive hero power, so you don't have to spend any gold anymore. Refresh and add Bob's Tavern was the old one, but now it's at the start of your turn, add a dragon to Bob's Tavern. So this is really good. So basically you'll roll 3 minions on turn 1 like normal, and then another minion that will get added that is a dragon, and that happens every time on your first roll of on your first minions that are offered. So you're always guaranteed to be offered a dragon. And because, as we'll look at later, dragons are getting a buff, I think the Sara is now a strong hero. It still goes down the same as what I said before of I don't really like heroes that shuffle you into a certain category or a certain tribe, but this one kind of gets around that by you're guaranteed to be offered at least one dragon every time you go to the tavern. Sometimes though you're going to get offered rubbish dragons, so there is a lot of RNG involved, but this is a nice buff to Sara, and especially with the buff to dragons that we'll get onto later. Next is Pyramid, and Pyramid I think is a bit of an underrated hero, to be honest. They did buff him to make him +3 attack, +3 health to a random friendly minion. Now it's given a random friendly minion +4 health, and you know I had some pretty good success with +3 health, so I think +4 is pretty decent. One of my favourite things to do with Pyramid, which wasn't especially strong, but it's fun. You buy a Micro Machine on turn 1, turn 2 you hero power first, give your Micro Machine extra health, and then it's got this attack that's going to keep ticking up. So you can actually have that minion to survive in your composition for a long time. Maybe even you can add an annoyer module onto it, and its attack keeps going up. and if you're lucky, you give it more health buffs, and it becomes a really good taunt minion. So I think there's lots of good options here. It's also pretty decent with the Wrath Weaver on demons. If you can get a Wrath Weaver and just keep giving it extra health, the attack will take care of itself. Just having extra health on it is really good. So yeah, I like Pyramid. It is random, so you're not going to be able to pick. Sometimes it will land on your spawn on the Zoth, but you just can't avoid that. Next up, we got Millhouse Mana Storm. So Millhouse came into the game and actually was pretty bad. You could high roll him a few times occasionally, but it just wasn't good enough. I still haven't been lucky enough to play Millhouse yet, but from my initial playthroughs, he seems to be doing pretty well on Battlegrounds. Lots of people seem to be picking him. They seem to be finishing quite high, just from my small anecdotal kind of evidence of games I've played. But they've changed it to, it used to be minions cost 2 gold, refresh costs 2 gold, and start with 2 gold. But now it's exactly the same, except you start with 3 gold. And now that just opens up a lot more possibilities for you. So you no longer start a gold less than everybody else, but you still got this powerful effect of minions only costing 2. So when you get to 6 gold, for example, when everyone else is buying 2 minions and feeling good about themselves, you can buy 3 on that turn. So there's lots of good possibilities with Millhouse. He still has the downside, though, of when you're wanting to refresh the tavern, it costs 2 gold, which is a pretty huge downside in my opinion. Especially early game, it's quite hard to be able to roll a few times. If you roll and you get nothing, that's what you're stuck with. So that is where the downside is. But I think having that extra gold for a start is a really big improvement for the Millhouse. And like I said, I haven't played with him yet, but I think this might be a one to watch, to be honest. Next, we've got the Rat King coming back. I have actually played the Rat King, and I did get a first place with him. He has basically just been changed to what he originally was. Although maybe he's got a little bit of a buff now because dragons are actually included in his hero power, which they weren't when the game first came out, obviously. But now it's +1, +2 to a tribe based on what his hero power switches to. So this is really strong if you get lucky, like I did, and get an alley cat turn 1, because the beast will give it +2, +1. It's just huge. And then if you're lucky enough to get lots of other minions on the right rolls of your hero power, then you can grow really fastly, really quickly, more stats than your opponents, and you can get strong enough that maybe you can get to a dragon strategy or a Murloc strategy late game, because you've banked all this health in the early game. You can just switch around your minions and not worry too much about the hero power. So it is very much a good early game buff. You can get unlucky with it because it will roll and you don't get the minions in the tavern that you want. But I like this one, and I think it's pretty strong. Anything that buffs minions for free is just good. So yeah, Rat King, I think, one to watch. Then we have Maleficent Mana Storm. She's one that's been changed a lot as well, and they've changed her again for this patch. Used to be +1 attack for mechs in Bob's Tavern. Now it's +2 attack. So I don't think this changes too much. It's very nice on a Cobalt Guardian to have +2 attack already, so that is a big bonus for her. But a lot of the good mechs got taken out of the game, so you can no longer get Psychotron, for example, or Shielded Minibot, which both would have been very good early game minions, especially if they had +2 attack. Now they don't, so I still don't see her being a very strong pick, even if you do get offered her. I really don't think it's a good pick. If you end up going mechs, then great, because things like Egg already having attack is fantastic. Like I said, Cobalt as well. But yeah, not the best in my opinion. Next up, we've got Deathwing, and this one I'm pleased about, to be honest. This is a nerf to Deathwing. He came into the game not even that long ago, only a couple of weeks ago, with +3 attack to all minions in the battle. But now that passive has changed to +2 attack, and I still think Deathwing could be good. I've still seen him performing quite well. I haven't tested him out myself, but it's nice that it's been nerfed, because I don't like Deathwing at all as a hero. I think I applaud the design. I thought Blizzard did a good job trying to make a hero that influences the whole tavern. So everybody playing has to play around this hero. It influences how they play the game. It changed it in an interesting way. But when it boiled down to it, I feel like it was just a feel-bad hero. If you get Deathwing and you get a Rat Pack, you feel really good. Everyone else feels bad. If you get Deathwing and you don't get Rat Pack, you just feel bad. Now, yes, other players could play around Deathwing quite well. You can just buy minions that like work with his hero power, so anything with a death rattle that summons a minion, you could get a rat pack yourself, and you feel good. But that's just for one fight. There are a bunch of other people fighting with you, so it ruins your strategy. So you strengthen yourself for that one game, but it does make you weaker for your overall strategy, depending on what you're going for. So I am glad they've nerfed him. It remains to be seen how strong he still is. He's definitely weaker now because, you know, he summons less rats, and those rats then have less attack if you're lucky enough to get a rat pack. So we'll see how that changes, but I still think he's going to be a good pick. I just don't think it's going to be as good as before, obviously. Reno, everyone's favourite hero, Reno Jackson. He's actually been buffed. I still don't think this buff is enough to make him good, but his old hero power was 4 gold, and what it would do is change any minion on your board to a golden minion. You could only use it once per game. This has been buffed to only 3 now, 3 gold to do that, and it's still only once per game. So yes, this hero power is very strong. It's got some really good uses if you get it on the right minions at the right times, but honestly, it's not strong enough to be a good hero. At 4 gold, he was not a successful hero. He had a very low win rate. Sometimes you get amazing results. So if you get to the stage where you've got a Baron or a Bran and you make them golden, then it's fantastic. But his hero power doesn't do anything to help you get to that stage. Doing it on a Soul Juggler on Tavern Tier 3 was often a good play. That could help to get you to late game. But then, are you really going to win the lobby with a Soul Juggler, or is it just going to get you a top 4? That's kind of where I saw it. And I don't see that changing, it being 3 mana now. Yes, he's better than before, but no, I still don't think he's that great. But yes, I will still pick him. So that's it for all the hero changes. Quite a lot of changes, actually, and some good ones. Really good ones, and exciting to see new heroes. And don't forget, we've also got Illidan coming into the game on the 26th of March. And his hero power is a passive where your left and rightmost minions attack immediately. So I'm yet to see how that actually works, but that does sound quite interesting. They've also balanced some of the minions, so starting with Savannah Highmane, and this is one I think that did need to change. On the left you've got the standard, and on the right you've got a golden copy of it. It used to be tier 5 and now it's tier 4, just a simple change to tier 4 minion. And I think this is a buff that beasts need, because once you've got your pack leader and rat pack, it only lasts so long before you really need to push for Mama Bear or Gauldron. And sometimes it would feel bad if you get to Tavern Tier 5 and all you're discovering is a Savannah Highmane, because it's really not that good, to be honest. It's like, it has good synergies with beasts and all this stuff, but ultimately you can get from a rat pack what you can get from this quite easily. So I'm glad it's a tier 4. It's a nice buff to beasts. I don't think it will change too much, but it's just a nice bridge for beasts. Next we've got Herald of Flame. So this is the first of a couple of buffs to dragons. This one used to have 4 health, and now it has got 6 health. So that's quite important for this minion, because if it gets overkill, it does 3 damage to the leftmost minion. Really interesting minion to put into the tavern, in my opinion. I like this one. But it only had 4 health, so you'd only attack once, and maybe it would just die and not get overkill. Well, now this kind of means that if you get it early enough, you're probably going to get 2 attacks out of it. So a nice buff to the dragon. Not going to change anything drastically, but just a good buff to that minion. Then next we've got the Steward of Time, and I like this buff too, because this was a bad dragon to get, especially when you're playing your Sara and you're getting dragons given to you. If this was one of the ones, it's just bad. It used to have 2 attack and 4 health. Now it's got 3 attack and 4 health, which is a small change, but I think now it just makes it an acceptable minion to pick if you're going for dragons. It still gives a buff to the rest of the minions in the tavern when you sell it, which in my opinion doesn't add too much to your thinking process when picking this, but the extra stats does. So I like that buff for this dragon. Next we've got Calicos changing. So Calicos is a really fun route to take, but he is a tier 6 minion, and always the problems you get with dragon is you discover Calicos and you really have to think, do I have enough time to play this dude, then buy enough battle cries to make my other dragons, do you have the other dragons in the first place, buff them to make them big enough to win this lobby? And it was a lot of the time for me. It was no, I can't take Calicos now because I'll just die before we get strong enough. This doesn't change too much. They've just buffed his attack and health, but it is a good change because it means the turn that you get him, you've got more stats on the board, and it's just going to help you. Calicos also will then be more of a threat going forward once you start to buff him as well. So he's just changed to 4 attack and 16 and 12 health, 4 attack and 12 health as the new standard tier minion, which not life changing, but it will help. Next, we've got the Nathrezian Overseer, which is a strange one that's been nerfed. Actually, it used to be a 2/4, and now it's just a 2/3 demon. Battlecry, give a friendly minion +2/+2. I don't think this was needed. I don't really know why they've done it. I think it was powerful before. If you had any demon on the board, this was actually a pretty decent 2-drop to pick up. I think it still is, but it's just weaker now because it has 1 less health. So it's an interesting change, but yeah, I'm not really sure why they need to do that, particularly as demons aren't especially strong in this patch. Next is another dragon. This is a Twilight Emissary, which technically you could see as a nerf, but I actually think to dragons as a whole is a buff. So it's changing quite significantly. It used to be Tavern Tier 5, and now it's changing to Tavern Tier 3. So that is a huge change in Tavern Tiers. And it used to have 6 attack and 8 health, so it used to be quite a big, beefy minion with Taunt. But now it's changing to a 4/4, and instead of buffing a dragon by 3/3, it buffs them by +2/2. So everything's kind of scaled down. But I think moving this to Tavern Tier 3 is so good for dragons. It really helps them bridge that gap and help them give them extra stats that they need before you can find your Razorgore or Calicos. So I really like that. I think it's a decent change. You also have the Bronze Dragon with the Divine Shield on Tier 3. So that is a really good minion to be able to buff early, because often if you get that minion, it's very nice when you first get it, but there are not too many buffs for it until you get to Tier 4 or Tier 5 when you could discover the Emissary. So being able to buff it earlier, I think, is a very strong thing for dragons. So this is a good change in my opinion. It was always a bit strange at Tier 5 because it was always a minion that had fairly beefy stats, but actually you were often just buying it for the Battlecry. So you buy it, sell it, buy it, play the buff and sell it. So it's nice that it's moved, and it has, and still at 4/4 Taunt is pretty decent at that stage in the game because it will protect your Togwaggle, for example. So that is all of the changes that they're going through in this patch. A lot more than I was anticipating. It's changed the game already. People are playing a lot more dragons. It's so much fun to dive in and check out all these changes. They have actually updated the animations as well, which in my opinion is much better. I thought it was terrible at first. It's really jarring when you put a minion on the board. It just feels really weird. But after about 10 minutes, I was used to the animation. It's so much better because it's much faster. It allows you to be more efficient with the time in your turns. So it was a very good change there. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about these changes. I'm really pleased to see them. I can't wait to play some more Battlegrounds. I'm really loving this. Blizzard has promised more updates as we go forward as well, so it'll be exciting to see. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.